Check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
I hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. Happy Nvidia Day today.
Happy Nvidia Day. It's like we get Christmas 4 times a year. Uh, welcome. Hopefully our audio video is good. Thank you, Andrew, for the confirmation. It is Nvidia Day, so we are going to be talking about it for sure. But welcome to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. Why am I messing up this intro? Identify opportunities, see how we could take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Coach Jay. Been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023. Been trading for the past 13 years and in the futures markets for the past 6. And that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share my experiences and knowledge and perhaps help you become a better trader.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. You are all our audience. Thank you for joining. If you haven't done so already, while we wait for NVIDIA to change the future of the NASDAQ, hit that like button if you haven't done so. Got a from Coach Paul, just on the NVIDIA earnings before they come out. Analysts project that NVIDIA will report fourth quarter fiscal year 2025 revenue of approximately $38.1 billion, a 70% increase from the previous year, with adjusted earnings per share of 85 cents. The company's data center segment is expected to contribute significantly, with revenue estimates ranging from $31.8 billion to $38.1. NVIDIA's own guidance for this quarter anticipated revenue of $37.5 billion.
With
We
a
know
B.
with a B. With a B. Dolby Time is not joining us today, but he will be back tomorrow. But let's see what NVIDIA does. Why are we watching NVIDIA? It's one of the Mag 7 companies. We know that as the Mag 7 companies go, the equity markets that we trade go as well. So this is big, right? This is big for us. It's a big quarter for NVIDIA after the DeepSeek fiasco that we had a little earlier. Is that getting into NVIDIA's pockets at all? We will see. But we trade futures here, so why don't we switch over to the NASDAQ chart and we'll take a look at the effect. We got a little over a minute here before we're supposed to get these numbers. So we'll see what that reaction looks like in the NASDAQ. Go ahead, Coach.
You can feel the tension.
Good thing is, with your Top Step accounts, you cannot trade it, so no one can blow a combine or an XFA right now, which is amazing. Thank you, NVIDIA, for managing our risk.
Well, at least our rules managing our risk.
There we go. All right, let's see. If somebody gets the numbers before we do, let us know. Put them in the chat if we can see them. But we know that the markets are definitely going to move on this one. Shout out to any of our options traders out there that might have a position. Hopefully, if you're doing option YOLOs right now, you manage your risk. Let's see what happens. 15 seconds, supposedly, unless they make us wait.
Yeah, there's no hard and fast rules. And once again, this is after market hours. Price movement is greatly exaggerated by the lack of volume.
Here we go, 80-point pop in the NASDAQ, and then right back down 200 points. Wow, okay, look at this. Number has to be out, waiting for Financial Juice to update, but
Look at that.
there we go.
There's
And
nothing
right back
there.
up. Right back up. Order books have to be very thin right now. We can see it. There's nothing on the books right now. Pretty big reaction here. Still waiting on the numbers in Financial Juice. Not seeing it yet, but anybody else happy that you can't trade right now? 200 points in the matter of 15 seconds, and it didn't know which way it wanted to go. Looks like it's
And
holding
look
a
at
little
the
bit.
volume. There's
No
no
volume at
volume.
all.
So we've discussed this. until tomorrow when when the volume comes in, well, I think in my experience, then we'll find out.
We'll know a lot more. All right, we got some numbers out here. Adjusted earnings per share, 89 cents. Estimate was 84. Revenues, 39.38 billion. Estimates were 38.25.
Okay, that was
And data center revenue, 35.6 billion. Estimate was 34.09 billion. So beating on earnings per share and revenue estimates. Of course, forward guidance and things like that are going to matter. And like Coach just said, what happens when the market opens up tomorrow and trades the actual volume? We can see a 200-point move, 250-point move in the Nasdaq on
how many contracts?
4,000 contract, less than 4,000 contracts. So pretty thin here. Let's take a look at see if we can take a look at Nvidia itself. Switch this over.
And now we're breaking again.
But again, doesn't matter what I what the market wants, right? I'd love to see Nvidia up at 160s. But we'll see.
I'm
We'll see
sure
what the
you
market
would.
said. I would love that. Uh, but let's see what the market has to say about it. All right.
Well, what did we learn from that?
Hold on a second. Let me just make sure we're still live, Coach.
Okay.
I think we just had a little glitch.
Oh,
Check, check. Okay, we're live. All right, we're good. Yeah, sorry. I just got a notification from OBS that said it was down for a second, but we are good to go. Thought they kicked us off for giving away the sauce. All right. Okay, so we're all good to go. So we will see what the markets have to say. Of course, pretty big reaction, and we kind of expected that. But tomorrow, again, when that volume comes back in, we're seeing a little bit of it trade right now. Right, the last 3 minute candle, we had about 6,000 contracts traded in the Nasdaq. But again, that is we're really going to know tomorrow. So let's get into the charts. Anything else you got on Nvidia, Coach, or the earnings before we go to the charts?
um, after any time, what did we learn? I would say the biggest lesson is don't trade in front of numbers.
Yep.
If you're trading a micro, those were $300-400 swing in a minute. Y- you don't have time to put in an exit. So whether it's Nvidia earnings or uh, CPI or PPI, let
FOMC, any of those.
yeah, let the market digest. Thank you, Coach Hoop. Digest it and then make your decisions.
100%. Uh, all right. Nvidia delivered 11 billion of Blackwell architecture revenue in fourth quarter, and I think that is their has something to do with AI. I'll be better research next time. All right, but let's get into the charts. We did have some planned news out today. We did have U.S. new home sales and crude oil inventories. Home sales came in a little bit lower than expected, 0.657 million. Estimates were 0.68 million, 10.5% change month over month when the forecast was 2.6%. So that is a big miss there.
It, it
Go ahead,
was a
Coach.
huge miss.
Yeah.
That's a huge miss. Well, we don't have lumber here. We used to trade lumber. Coach Jack was in that pit, but lumber prices have also collapsed. Um, so a reflection. That's further evidence that this economy is slowing down.
Yep.
And for you young people who are looking to buy a house, maybe you can get a break.
You see it all over Twitter. The housing market is going to crash. But people have been saying that for a long time. Uh, let's take a look at the quote board. We got 35 different markets that we can trade with Topstep accounts, not just the equities. And today, to the downside, we had natural gas down 3.44%, micro Bitcoin futures down 3.76%, and micro Ethereum futures, our biggest percentage mover to the downside at 6.56%. To the upside, we had copper up 1.15%, which is deceiving because if we saw that moving copper at the close yesterday, it was up about 4%, and then it just sold off the rest of the day. Uh, Silver up 1.24%, and lean hogs, our biggest percentage mover, up 1.88% for our biggest percentage mover to the upside. To talk about our big four, we had crude oil down 0.2%. The S&Ps still moving because of Nvidia, so we'll call it up 0.05%. Gold up 0.47%, and the Nasdaq right now up 0.2% to round out our big four. I'm gonna pull up an S&P chart since that is what we traded in the house account today. Go out to a 30-minute. What are we looking at here, Coach Paul, on this 30-minute chart in the S&Ps?
Well, let's start. We're under the 200 bar moving average. And I'm only looking to sell it personally. But looking at both sides of the coin, we started last night on really light volume last night. Just meandered up into the open, which we had. This is but the pattern again. The first couple minutes sends the market. The next hour it balances out and goes the other way.
Yep.
Pretty quickly today, but in front of the Nvidia earnings, what did we do? We traded both sides of
Stay balanced.
unchanged.
Yep.
It was a very balanced day. I think tomorrow morning, the first 5 minutes, and we're going to find out the tone. Still looks, from my point of view, is not a buyer's market. But boy, when it turned around, it was a 1, 2, 3. It was an hour and a half in the
Oh
new
yeah.
lows. Got everyone leaning the wrong way. Not surprisingly. So still under heavy pressure. But there were some really good trading opportunities on both sides. So
Yeah, there were.
I'm gonna pass it to you and go to the 3 minute.
All right, let's take a look. So coming into the morning for fast markets, Jerome and I both came in looking to buy the equities. Maybe I think what I was looking for was, we're not going to. I didn't expect much of a directional move for, with the markets kind of waiting for Nvidia. And if we look at where we've come from over the past couple of days, right, we've sold off. So what I was looking for is if I go the high of this range, or this swing high on the daily to yesterday's low. All the targets that I were looking for was, pretty much 50% of this move to the downside, right around 60-40. So just looking for an opportunity on a shorter time frame to get into a move. And again, we can have expectations for where the market goes, but ultimately the market's going to decide where it does go. So if we go down to a shorter time frame, I'll remove some of those drawings. We had the 3-minute opening range right here. It's purple box. And if we attach VWAP to it, that volume never left the range to the lows. The house account got into a couple. Shout out to Jack. I think really great execution by Jack today in the house account where there was a couple of things that I think really went in our favor. You've heard Andre talk about the caveman trade where we see a ton of size on the order book and you just buy into it. I wanted to get into this long. Again, I was leaning long before we even got into the markets. Saw VWAP stay in the middle of the range, which we've talked about here being, meaning a range bound trade. So when we held the lows of this opening range, wanted to get in. I think I got in a little bit late, maybe around 86, 88. And the house account was around 80, 92. I fumbled this trade. I got out at 81. We can see the market got back down to 80, stopped me out before it eventually went in my favor. Had to do some breathing exercises on the air, coach. because there was some bad there was some bad words gonna come out of my mouth. Uh,
Breathe in, hold,
yeah.
in through your nose, out through your mouth, right?
Right, but, shout out to the house account, managed the trade really well, stayed in it, and I think it was a combination of trades where we had, this opening range breakout, but then we also had, uh, you know, the caveman trade lining up at the same time where we saw 1,000 lot, the market traded to it, filled it, and then what was really great about it is we kept doing it, right? So it wasn't just 1,000 lot and that was it. Another one showed up maybe 5 points higher, so Jack is, you know, adding to a winner, which we really love to see. I think we got up to 4 or 5 contracts with the intentions of, hey, let's just fill the next one. And if they keep adding them, let's fill the next one. Uh, I don't remember exactly where we got out of that trade, but it was a nice start to the day for the house account. Um, and just a early trend up. Now we had potential targets. If you use the top step levels, shout out to the top step levels. If you don't use them, I would suggest putting them on your charts. But we had yesterday's high, which was around 60.16. That was an area where we said, hey, we need to see how the market responds around here. Above that, 60.24, which was last week's low, we can see we rejected right below that. But what started to happen here was, that VWAP, the market started to get away from it, coach. And we've seen this, how far are we away from VWAP? Do I really want to be buying up here, establishing a new position? Probably not. If I was already long, thinking trade management, but we can see that volume start to die. Again, we're not maybe expecting much of a directional move with Nvidia earnings after the close. So although I was looking for 60/40s, the market was not willing to trade up there, and we rejected. Uh, Go ahead, coach.
Yeah, that was quite a rally, and it felt really comfortable. But overall, look at the volume in that rally. It was below average volume.
Yep.
So, what does that mean? It wasn't. I would say it wasn't institutional buying. Like that would be above average volume because they come in with size. Um, Now, I too got short early and took a small loss. Um, but I started going, what was I not seeing here? But like I said, I'm only looking to sell it. I did when we got closed under VWAP after touching that resistance. My resistance on my daily numbers was 16. And we
Nice.
got above it, kept on playing it, but I didn't sell it up there. I wanted failure. It wasn't failing at 16 to 24. What was I? 24?
High was
23.75.
20. Yeah, 23.75.
So, but when it broke under VWAP, it tested it, bounced back, but VWAP in the half hour barely left the range, and it took some time. On the hourly, it didn't. So, looking at all that, I'm like, this. But you had it there before, the below average volume on the 3 minute. That's not good. That's not strong buying.
Maybe some short covering after the move down we've seen for the week going into Nvidia, the uncertainty of Nvidia earnings. That puzzle
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
So, anyway, well, let's see what happened when it closed below VWAP.
Yep. So we got to close below VWAP here. Actually did take a short that we were looking at. I think we cut it for scratch. Just bringing up some different ways to view the market. The initial balance high. I have the white line. This yellow line over here is the high of the initial balance. We hear Hoag talk about failed upside auctions. This is a perfect example of a failed upside auction where the first hour of trade established that initial balance. We have the high, the market looked above it. We can see this is another good indicator. Market's trading up here, volume is down here. Potential failed upside auction where, if this volume was leaving that range as well, same way we look at it on a shorter time frame, then maybe we continue, but no buying above that 60/20 and fail. And when we close under that VWAP coach right here is where you're talking about. I think we started getting comments from the president around here. I wish he would let us know when he was gonna do those so we could take a
You're not in
position.
the club.
But what are we looking at here,
Um,
coach?
so what? Quickly, look at the hourly.
Let's take a look at the hourly.
We
shout
don't
out to
look at the
shout out to Dee. She said I was throwing some chairs in the VIP today. A couple of wayward sheep misbehaved. Shout out to the lunatic.
wayward sheep, little Bo Peep.
Shout out to all of our VIPs, our coaches. There's a line from one of my favorite artists, Jay Z, and he's going off in this verse for about 4 minutes, and he says at the end of it, or somewhere in the middle, he's like, "Excuse me, that's my passion talking." Um, that's all of our coaches' mindset as well. If our coaches are ever upset or seem annoyed, that's just the passion talking, right? Where we want people to succeed, and if D has to throw a chair, I'm sure it was for a good reason. But here we are, coach. We're looking at an hourly chart. What are we looking at?
Okay, where you just talked about the point of control or initial balance.
Yep.
Excuse me, initial balance. There's the resistance right there. Now, where was VWAP was still in the hourly. It was in the middle there. Barely couldn't really take out. It didn't.
Nope.
Um, you can be long, like I see that I can be long out there, but what I really want to see is where does it fail? Well, that's what the glory of VWAP is. Now, you don't have to make trades in the hourly, but it gives you an idea. Okay, it's initial balance. Now tag another VWAP on the hourly, and you did. Now let's go back to the 3 minute. And now we can have fresh eyes. It's like after looking at the hourly, I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's what's happening up there.
No one's buying it. They may not be selling it, but they're definitely not buying it.
There's a wall.
Right.
They stopped buying, stopped. I would say more often than not, that's the buying stopped. So both sides, great trades. Also great places to limit risk. And if you just, you know, uh, from the open on a rally, selling it near the highs. So that's about all I have for
Good
S&P.
stuff. Good stuff. Anything on the Nasdaq feels like it kind of did. I mean, I didn't even realize that I switched the charts there. They look exactly the same. So we can probably skip the
You know,
Nasdaq. Go ahead, coach.
let's put bring up the 1 minute and let's put a VWAP on. What time did that come out? 3:20.
The Nvidia news.
Yeah, you can almost see it. There it is, right there.
No, 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 no. Hold on.
Uh,
That's a regular trading hours. Let's go to extended. Here it is. There it is. That's a pretty big range right there.
and look, and look what the price did after. Just traded inside that on tiny, right there. There's no need to trade these numbers.
Nope. Nope.
Many many combines were saved.
Yeah, 100%. What I will say is that price went to these levels for a reason. So I'm going to leave this on my chart for tomorrow, right? Because now this gives me a general area where, hey, this price action was the reaction to Nvidia. However, little volume may have traded at that time. These prices meant something, right? So now what I'm looking at least on a shorter time frame, is how does the market respond to these prices? Up at the high, we got right around 21,325, and down at these lows, 21,55. All right. I got messed up. I managed to take $31 out of 5 trades. Any advice on overtrading and giving money back to the markets? Wi-Fi millionaire. I managed to take $31 out of 5 trades. Well, that's a profitable day. If you heard the stat that JD and Dakota were talking about on Topstep TV today, if you make $1 this year, you did better than 99% of traders. $1 this year. You made 31 today. So maybe that's not our goal, but you were able to come out with a winning day. Now, depending on how you got to that $31 is important. Were you up 5 grand and then ended the day $31? Different story, right? We need to respect the profits that we make from the day. You can see I hit a trailing personal daily loss limit today. I was up a specific amount and said, I don't want to give back more than 25% of it. So I said, trailing daily loss limit. If I continue to see trade setups, I'm going to take them. But if I give back X amount of dollars, cut me off and liquidate and block, shut it down for the day. I don't want to trade anymore. If you were down on the day and you were taking the right setups and you went from down to just above scratch, it's good trading. Now, you in that message said that you overtraded. So I like to answer questions with questions. Were there actual trade setups that you saw, or were you just trying to make money? What about you, coach?
Um, First of all, were you said you were over trading? Uh, I'd like to define that more. It goes back to did you follow a process that you know a trading plan? And if you did, and $31 was the output, and you followed it, what's wrong with that?
Right.
Now, if you were up 500 and and then went back down to 31 and you weren't following your trading process, okay, now you have issues, and only you can really answer that. But I go back to, you have to have a plan and follow a plan. But, we'll say it again: process over profit. Every successful trader comes to that point. So understand, without knowing it, what your plan is. Um, that's not bad. You didn't. You made $31. You could have. It's basically a scratch. Well, if you took risk and in your plan on a day like today that traded both sides of unchanged, then you probably did pretty. I would say you didn't do poorly. You the market was basically unchanged at the end of the day. So review that. You can't, if your goal is to make money every day, just stop.
Sometimes your
It's
job is to
not
not
going to
lose money.
happen. Some of the best traders on the trading floor used to say that a scratch is a win. So basically, it's a scratch day. What does that mean? A scratch is a win because you had to take risk. By the way, there's no riskless trade. If someone tells you that, run. Don't even bother hitting them. Run, because it's not there. You have to take some risk. It's the price of entry. So maybe don't beat yourself up too much. You didn't. $31. That isn't the point. The point is, did you trade well according to your trading plan? That's where I'll leave that.
Good stuff, coach. Thank you for that. All right. One more question here, and we'll go to other markets. But Freddie asks, hey guys, how can you tell when a short squeeze is in progress? In ES, was there one going on before MOC? So let's take a look. So really, when I wouldn't say this was much of a short squeeze move. I think this was just, again, if we're putting a whole puzzle together for the day, not expecting too much of a directional move outside of or right before Nvidia earnings, right? What this looks like to me was a balanced day, and there was probably just more day traders in this market than anything, right? So the same way we saw the markets push up early on and kind of stop, moving to the upside. Think about day traders. If I need to be closed out of this position by the end of the day, if I stop getting favorable price action, I need to close that position, so I sell. And the same thing, let's imagine this is just day traders, and these are just my assumptions. But if they're day traders in this short, right, into the end of the day, and I don't want to hold into Nvidia, I got to close my positions before the market closes, then I have to buy. That's how I'm looking at this price action. short squeeze days is where we, just continue to rally above what is usually the high of the day. Um, you'll hear Hogue talk about a squeeze. We were actually looking for one in gold. Hogue and I were talking behind the scenes, so we'll pull up gold and we'll talk about that when we get a chance. But normally, the DNA for a short squeeze is negative delta, which delta is, just in simple terms, the difference in volume between aggressive sellers and aggressive buyers. So if delta is negative, that means there were more aggressive sellers for the day, and price is pushing up towards the highs. Again, same thing. If you are a day trader and you've been selling all day and the price is not going lower, eventually you have to buy back. That's where that short squeeze kind of lines up. So today didn't really feel like that. I think the delta was actually positive on the day in the S&Ps. So this just felt like, closing positions before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, great explanation.
Right. All right. Let's get into another market. I mentioned gold, so let's talk about gold. Uh Here's gold on a 30-minute chart, coach. Tell us what we are looking at here.
Oh, wow. Just looking going left, I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
um, uh, let's see what I really didn't even pay attention to gold. So this is the first time I've looked at it all day. Where did we start last night?
Here is last night's open, right around there.
Wow. First, that's about as flat as a market as I've seen. And gold isn't affected by Nvidia that I know of. Um, I
Yep.
can't say much. No wonder I didn't. um, once again, here maybe there's a short. That might not be a. I think a J trade is a short squeeze. Let's
Oh
look
yeah,
at that J trade. It's sticking out. It's got the middle finger at the
this one right at these
shorts,
lows. Yep. All right, let's
at the
get into
lows.
that. Let's frame it out on a 30-minute. I actually want to talk a little bit about the short that happened initially because I was actually in this short. Most of my profits from the day came from shorting gold, uh, where like Coach said, overnight, really not much price action. But then we started to see some volume coming in at these 29.22s. I know Dakota was short gold last night. I really liked the trade that he took. Just I think it was we kind of rejected near 29.40s up here where we had some selling come in before. So I really like that short that he was taking. Target on that was 29.20s, which was kind of the low of where that selling stopped. And then today, this morning, we get some volume under that low, right? So, coach, that's kind of this is not a head and shoulders, but you talk about breaking that
Mhm.
neckline, right? Breaking this low with some volume under it. I wasn't watching gold. I had had the charts up. I have some audio cues that tell me, hey, there's some volume trading in this market. Maybe take a look. And this was just a momentum trade, right? Where got in short. I think I got in short at 29.16. Risk was above the high of where that volume came in. Because again, if they don't want to keep selling it, I don't want to be in it. But just trying to get on the momentum, hop on that train, and then immediately after. And again, I wasn't looking at this market, so there has to be some quick analysis. Uh, as soon as I get into this trade, I look at what is the next major level near this market, and that's 2,900, right? So I didn't do any analysis on gold. I wasn't looking at it too much. So I can't have an opinion here. I just have to say, hey, market, you tell me what you want to do, right? And I'll take my part of it. But looking at this major and saying, okay, there's potential for 2,900. Let's see if they continue to sell it. We get two huge volume bars. And then I think I was out at 29.06 on the way back up. But
Did you see this J trade?
I did. I stopped looking at it because right into this is where we got into fast markets and we were trading the S&P.
Uh,
But I kind of wish I stayed here a little bit. But it is what it is. We'll get them next time.
all right. Well, yeah, that was a nice, beautiful short. But let's think about how much time the sellers have taken we're in a bull market, right?
Yep.
So you have this. We've seen this a few times. The flush out
Hmm.
on big volume, make the low, balance out, and buying begins again. Let's look at the daily once more. See if we see anything for them. And there's the flush out. Um,
That looks very bullish.
wow. It's
That
finding
looks.
balance up here. We know that. Oh, yeah, that was a 20-day moving average, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I have it here. It was 29 even. It was all right. Well, now we see a flush out, and that gives now looking at the daily, we're knowing that we have the volume flush at the 20-day moving average, and it held. So can it continue? Well, we're going to find out in the first half an hour tonight, in my opinion. I still want to buy this market. It's on sale. Um,
Yeah,
but
I agree with you.
that's
Uh,
just
I,
my bias.
I want to buy it also. Shout out to Hoag. He was talking about the potential for a short squeeze into the close, where, Coach Paul, you talked about the potential J trade down here, where we had a ton of, well, not the potential J trade, the actual J trade, where we had all that volume at the low, we close above it, and you know, really nice trend from there. So hopefully somebody caught that. Just a really nice move here. But what Hoke was mentioning was towards the end of the day in gold, Delta was negative 2,500. And again, that means more aggressive selling than buying for the day. And it stayed at negative 2,500 into the close, right? So they were not able to reconcile that and get Delta back to neutral. So is there a potential for that squeeze to just continue? And in a market that's been rallying for a year and a half, uh, we'll see. I'm bullish gold, but of course the market's going to do what they want to do. Anything else on gold, coach, or we want to move on from here?
Let's move on.
All right, let's go to digital gold. Uh, and Dan Trader, thanks. I felt like I was reading the markets really well today. It, it's not a jinx. If I read the markets terrible tomorrow, Dan, it's my fault, not yours. Uh, what are we looking at here, coach? 30-minute chart micro
Follow
Bitcoin.
through selling. Well, we talked about we gapped lower. And we have held that gap and further liquidation. It's starting to gain momentum too to the downside.
Yep.
Let's look at the half hour. Just today's action really s- okay. Did nothing in Asia,
Yep.
right? It didn't leave the range. It just um. But if that was a bargain, that would have been bought.
Right.
And And now we've talked about how Bitcoin is starting to reflect the equity market. It's become an equity in an almost. Um, what happened is we entered the U.S. hours. So let's just say 6 o'clock Eastern, five
Si
o'clock Central.
5 o'clock central. Right here.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're still in the slop. Um, what's interesting is as soon as sunrise in New York was sellers started coming in, and this break is happening in U.S. hours.
Yep.
Um, just wow, look at that. Now there is no real opening and close in Bitcoin. For Bitcoin futures, there is, but this market, when we talked about it, is just it's liquidation. Looks to me like we're going to go to the 200-day moving average. My feeling is in the history of Bitcoin, and I've literally watched it since the first week it traded. It panics to the downside.
Yeah.
There, as much as it rallies, it's that's why I say it's a great trading market. It trades really well. I mean, people don't want to. If you like stocks, you're gonna love Bitcoin. Um, did we hit the 200-day moving average?
Not yet. It's at 79,875, which is this white line right here.
Mhm,
We're pretty close to
mhm.
it. We got into this
So
gap. We know Bitcoin doesn't have gaps, but futures do because they don't trade 24/7. We got into the gap, closed, still closed above it. Um,
is that the gap from the election?
this is the gap from the election. That is correct.
Oh. So we're finding it's got a hold, baby.
What day was? And this is not a political stance at all.
No, it's
Uh,
an observation.
the inauguration was on the 20th. Is that correct? January 20th. I'm trying to
Hmm.
find when a Trump coin was released on this chart. Um, I think it was so Trump coin was released right here, right on that weekend. On this, yeah, it was over the weekend. So this is the first day that we could trade micro Bitcoin futures after Trump coin was released. There's a lot of people on Twitter that were not happy with that release, kind of feeling like it
Mm.
gamified crypto more than it's been gamified. But that's the high, and we've been selling off ever since.
That is the high on high volume. Now,
Yep.
I didn't even know that when I was talking about the double top.
Yeah.
That's why I like when I look. I used to do it before, but I'll do it more now. Is a line chart just to get perspective. A line chart just shows the close. So you put a line chart on there. Um, it just like, wow, that could be a Head and Shoulders top. Now I'm not double top, Head and Shoulder. It's a top, and it's falling fast. It needs to hold the 200-day moving average. Um, and especially if it's acting like a stock. Um, institutions are watching that price line. Either they're going to defend it, or if they need to liquidate. And this is, study the history of Bitcoin. We go right back down to where we started. What is that, 55, 60?
Yep. Yeah. Down here is 73, kind of at the low of this breakout here, right around 73s. And if we look at this high volume candle here, that's 60,000 is in that range.
Uh,
Yeah, very interesting times. What does that mean for a day trade? That means that they're tradable markets. I know Jack was talking about it on a shorter time frame. Again, there is no official open for Bitcoin, but if you're struggling with trading the equity markets right now, micro Bitcoin is a nice one to trade. Trades about it's 50 cents a tick. It's not the order book isn't the thickest order book, right? Where you're going to see a lot of gaps and things like that, but it's 50 cents a tick, right? So I think all of the technical analysis that we apply to every other market fits here as well, and it's trading really nice.
so, um, what's the other market one? Japanese yen.
Japanese yen. Question from JB here. Hi, gentlemen. When you see session delta so negative, but prices are going up, is this not mostly because limit order buys are displayed as market order sells? Limit order buys have to be market order sells. Yeah, that's right. Uh yeah, that could be it, right? Where market sellers are going to create that negative delta, but there are limits under the market that keep there are bids under the market that keep pushing it up, right? So those bids, whatever market selling we have, isn't enough to sell through those bids and continue lower. So that's exactly what that means. And but it's kind of weird how you worded that, displayed as market order sells. I get what
Yeah.
you're saying, right? As far as if you look at time and sales, right, limit order bids are going to show up on the bid, right? A trade on the bid because a market seller had to hit it. But yes, short answer, yes. All right, Japanese yen, coach.
All right. Japanese yen. What's the white line? It's the 200. We settled above it. I mean, below it for the first time I think in a week. And what did we find immediately? We had that wick, and the next half an hour took off into almost new highs. Well, I bring that was a great opportunity to buy. Even if I wanted to sell underneath, small loss. Um, what's starting to happen is let's bring up the daily. Remember this price of the 200. Okay. What is this price of the daily? The 200, we're above it.
Mm.
And doesn't happen too often, but we'll look at what say that this is a rounding bottom on a daily. We're and versus this jagged one, which in July, I think that was a July 14th. What was the date of the big?
What was that day? Damn it, we were talking about it for so long. Was it
Uh,
It wasn't the 16th. July 11th. It was July 11th.
July 11th. Yeah,
It
that's
was
what I
July
thought. Yeah.
11th. I was gonna say the
So
16th. The 16th is a different date in my head. But there we go. July
that was
11th.
a jagged. I won't say it was a sharp rally jagged. This is a rounding bottom. Um, so what does that mean? It's being accumulated. It's not. It's smooth. But we're above the 200-day moving average. The 200 bar moving average on the half hour is about to cross the daily. It's what is it? It's gaining momentum. The dollar is weakening. Um, I don't hear anybody talking about the yen. Um, and it's just creeping, creeping. It's a great trade. There's not the average true range is less than on a daily is like $500. On a half hour, it's like 125, less than $100. For $2,000 accounts, not a bad
Good
place to
market to
trade.
trade. Yeah. Shout out to Ryan in the chat. I know Ryan has been trading these two markets exactly. The last two we just talked about, micro Bitcoin and the Japanese yen, and trading really nicely in your XFA, right? Keep it up. I know a lot of the focus is on the equities and things like that, but here's another market that is presenting some really good opportunities that doesn't get talked about enough, but the money is green if your trades are right. The risk is still there too, right? You can still lose money. It's not just go to the Japanese yen and all of a sudden I'm a winner. But it is a nice market to trade and trending right now, coach.
Yeah, trending nicely. Dips are being bought, and it's a good place to be.
Good stuff.
All
South
right.
South CAC Dad. I always look at 6J, have had some good trades on it. All right, go ahead, coach.
Good. Yair wants us to go over natural gas. We haven't done that in a while. Must
All
be an old.
right. The Natty Ice.
uh, yeah, perfect for headaches and hangovers. Um,
What are we
wow.
looking at here, coach? I haven't looked at that gas in a little while.
Well, they're finding balance. Let's just look at last night's action. Nice breakout trade. Um, does that give us 2-1 on the upside?
Let's take a look. So if we caught the breakout up here, Where's my ATR?
I don't think.
I don't think so. On a 30-minute on this break, we needed 60 ticks. We got 44.
All
But
right.
like Denzel Washington says, I'm leaving here with something. I'm not looking for 60 ticks, getting 44, and letting that come back to break even. Just not gonna happen for me.
uh, So for me, I'm going to sleep. I put it on. But what if if you're looking for 60 and you're not getting it, and you're being where do you do you turn that into a loser or a scratch? I have no problem turning it into a scratch. I'm an old trader. Scratch is a win. I took risk and I scratched. Um, but we just went over S&P and Nasdaq. What's the similarity here? We have the breakout and we close under the volume or VWAP.
Yep.
Um, oh, that might even have been a small loss. I don't. All right. I put in a chip and I can't win the pot unless I put in a chip. Unless you have a place. If you have a place that allows you to do that, I want in. um, but let's see what happens when the volume comes in, or New York, or Chicago, or the U.S.
So really, I mean, we kind of just cascaded up, right? We just see volume continuing to build as these 30-minute uh, candles go. Let's go to a shorter time frame. Let's go down to a 3-minute and see if there was outside of that. Okay. So is there an open for nat gas? Can we even consider one? Same time as
Yeah,
crude?
it's 8 o'clock, same as crude.
There we go. So let's look at that. There we go. We already kind of started the move, but even if you're late
Oh,
here,
is that, yeah, that was London,
uh,
Europe.
this is the London Open right here.
Mm,
London Open here. Didn't trade a ton of volume. Maybe you were up at this time. I really love these like volume spikes in the kind of middle of nowhere where there's not a lot of follow through. Because if anything, it gives us an area to kind of look at. Like I look at this one right here, pretty significant candle. This one up here, obviously, and I'm not trading these, but
Boy,
look. Oh, whoa,
this is
hold
all.
on. Look at that. Go ahead, coach.
Yeah, I was. Look at that. Go ahead.
So volume spike up at these highs, right? We start to sell. This was at 6:30 in the morning. I was awake, but I wasn't looking at my charts. I think I just got off of watching Deanna and thinking about going to work out at this time. But if I come to the charts at 9 o'clock Eastern time, and I just look at what happened the night before, and I'll be on the opening call tomorrow, so we'll talk a little bit about more about this tomorrow in some of the markets that we trade. Here's the open, if you will, right? This is 9 o'clock Eastern time. Look at where we reject right off of the VWAP from this high volume, just using what happened on the charts earlier in the morning for a potential area to trade, right? And I'm late to the move potentially, but my risk can go right above here. The market's still trending, and there was still some meat left on the bone. This is another 2.5% move to the downside after being quote unquote late to the move. Uh, his royal trades with the bearish haramis. I don't even know what you, coach. You know what harami candle is?
It sounds like something my ex-wife used to buy that was too expensive. No, I've heard of them. I'll be all serious, and I have respect, but I couldn't define it.
Got you.
So maybe our viewer can define it.
His royal. Come on, top at the buzzer and let us know what haramis are because you mention it in the chat all the time. Um, I just never know what they. I don't know what they are. Um, but if this is a harami right here, I like haramis because this is a great this is a great selling signal right here. Um, harami is an inside candle. Okay, got
Okay.
you. Okay, so this is a harami here. Okay, I learned something new today, and this is why we do this, right? This is trading community.
Mhm.
I'm happy learning how other traders look at the markets. Um, may help me make my own trading decisions. and the wick right up to VWAP. Not Harambe. All right, coach. Any other? We're starting to lose it
You know
now.
what's
We
interesting?
got.
Eight
Go ahead.
o'clock, 9 o'clock Eastern, or 8 o'clock Central.
Yep,
That was where is that? Is that the Harami?
that is the Harami.
Well, that's important.
I would
That's
say so.
volume spike, boy. Now, is that urgent?
Pretty urgent.
Yeah.
Pretty
Once
urgent.
again, once again, you see this all the time. Comes back to the bottom of that opening range and then just continues.
Oh, right
But
here. Yeah.
I'm not
Here.
hanging around. Um, 2-to-1 trade right off the bat. Put it in your pocket. Look for another trade.
Yeah. That's a nice one. Haven't looked at nat gas, but if you're trading it, shout out to you. Again, might not be a market that we talk about all the time, but we don't need to talk about it for you to make money from it. Trade your process while everyone is fighting for their lives in the equities. You could have an easy life trading something else. Uh, Anything else, Coach? We got about 3 minutes here to the top of
Um,
the hour. Any other markets you want
let's
to
see
talk about? Anything on your scouting report?
where did the Nasdaq end up after all this?
Right in the middle. 272 we're trading right now. 21,272.
All right. Otherwise, tomorrow, trade your plan and plan your trade. Um, don't worry about whether a trade is a winner or a loser. It's a long series of data. If your plan is profitable, not one trade doesn't make a difference. So keep that in mind. And
Coach,
have
you got a question here. How long do you see this volatility lasting in the equities?
Oh, it's a good question, but I can't answer. Um, I'm not dodging it.
Hmm.
I don't know. I will tell you is we rally back above the 200 moving average on the half hour, we'll start seeing volatility come down.
Makes sense. And that's
Um,
at 21,623 right now.
Rich late in about 3.5 years, 4 years, says
Yep.
Joris. Uh,
Somebody looking at a
maybe.
calendar? What's the significance
Why?
there?
Why
Uh,
that? I could see that, especially in the short term.
yeah.
Like we talked, we said this. This has been a theme. Those
Um,
we have no control of when some tweet will come out. We witnessed that today.
yep.
Have your risk plotted out. Stick to your plan. That's the only thing you can control is your plan and
Yeah.
executing it.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna embrace the volatility. It's what we ask for traders, as traders. Of course, it's better when you can measure it a little bit, but it's what we look for, right? But we got to protect ourselves at all costs. Chauncey, one last question: will Nvidia impact overnight market? It has the potential to. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at the markets moving around in the overnight, but really when that volume comes in for the New York session, we'll know how the market feels about Nvidia. I got nothing else. We got Coach Hoop doing a class in 15 minutes in Discord. Make sure you join Coach Hoop over there. If you haven't done so here, hit that like button. Subscribe. We're trying to get to 150K subscribers. I don't think we crossed 148 yet, but in order to get to 150, we got to get to 148. So tell your friends and family to subscribe as well. Trade well, manage your risk. I'll see you all for slow markets later with Dakota. We got Coach Hoop and sorry, we already spoke about Coach Hoop, but Coach Vince and Coach Ray doing classes in Discord, 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central. And then, of course, Deanna with the London Open at 3:30 a.m. Central Time. Thank you, everybody. Trade well, manage your risk, and we will see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Good night.